Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your old pal CHH here today. We're doing Halloween Resurrection today, and I was really hoping that this one was going to be a good one, and I think this is one of the best ones in terms of crazy facts that I learned. Of course, if you haven't seen the rest of these I've been reading Taking Shape, and I've been learning so much cool stuff about these movies. Stuff that was never in documentaries on DVDs or Blu-rays that was really talked about. So this book has been awesome, and if you're a Halloween fan, it's just been amazing. So without further ado, these are 10 crazy facts about Halloween Resurrection. Let's go. Alright guys, so the first fact I want to talk about is this. Miramax, the Weinsteins, initially pitched to Mustafa Akkad a Myers-less sequel for Part 8. That's right, they wanted to repeat history in a sense with doing something like a Halloween 3 where they do a Halloween movie that doesn't have a Michael Myers in it, because even though we had already established by 7 with Mustafa that Michael really wasn't dead, I think Miramax was a big fan of the way that movie ended, and they thought, we can do something new and it not be a Myers movie. Let's go for it again. Screw what happened before. Let's go for it again. I don't know that Part 3 had a cult fan base by that point, but needless to say, Miramax did want to go with that because, you know, they just thought, hey, we killed him. Even though you said we didn't. I mean, that ending was pretty badass. I think you gotta admit that the ending of H2O was pretty badass. So, Mustafa shut it down because even though Miramax was putting out the movies, Mustafa had the last say on things. So, they tried. They did try. Okay, so this was interesting. Back in the day, in the late 90s, the internet was around, and it was starting to be used. There were Halloween websites that people that were actually working on the films used, and this was something I found interesting. It said that on August 7th, 1999, producer Paul Freeman officially announced the next film as Halloween H2K, Evil Never Dies. So that was going to be the name of the next Halloween film. Obviously, it changed, and there would be many iterations. But in terms of history, what was set in stone in 1999, it was announced that it was going to be Halloween H2K, Evil Never Dies. H2K. So maybe they were hoping to release the film on the year 2000, which didn't happen. But that seems like what they were shooting for. So, you know, maybe you can go on like that, what's that website called? The Wayback Machine, and try to find that announcement. I don't know. I'll Google it and see if I can find it. Alright, so as always on this series, I love to talk about pitches that didn't get used. So this is the third fact for this video. It's per contractual agreement, H2O screenwriter Robert Zappia pitched his idea for Halloween 8. Myers would be captured and imprisoned while awaiting trial for his many crimes. This kind of sounds like a movie that we almost got later on called Halloween Returns. He would then escape police custody, retrieve his suit and mask from the evidence bay, and kill his previous survivors who were there to testify against him in court. The first victim would have been Carrie Tate, aka Laurie Strode. Laurie, or Jamie Lee Curtis, said, you gotta kill me in the very beginning of the next movie. So this was the pitch that was gonna happen. So, ostensibly a death row type scenario, which would have kept the EMS thing intact with Michael swapping his clothes and, you know, everything with an innocent guy and crushing his larynx, etc. So that would have been intact still, but that movie would have been vastly different. I am dying to see Michael Myers in court. Will we get that in Halloween Ends? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. But man, some of these pitches just sound freaking awesome. I can't wait to read Taking Shape 2 and get more into detail on that. Okay, so the fourth crazy fact about Halloween Resurrection, again, another wild pitch. Our old pal Daniel Farrens. Daniel Farrens' pitch was this. Tommy and Lindsay Wallace would be trying to learn about Michael Myers 15 years later through the Loomis files. But the big twist that Daniel Farrens was going to have for the end of his movie, buckle up for this, was to have Laurie Strode be the killer under the Myers mask. It was widely rejected by everyone involved. I'm trying to understand the rationale that he might have been going for this, and again, I don't like to judge things when I can't see them, but I was really having a hard time wrapping my head around how that would have played out or what scenario that would have... I don't know. I just can't see that. Wow. Kudos on the Tommy and Lindsay Wallace stuff, though. I always like seeing those characters. Okay, so this is something I just found very interesting, and it did not come to fruition, obviously, because after this movie with the pan reception and replanning things and Mustafa passing away. This was something that I just thought was interesting. Everyone involved were really hopeful that our lead, Sarah, would eventually become the series' next Laurie Strode to carry the baton going forward. Hence the classroom scene that basically mimicked the original scene with Laurie Strode, where Sarah's in class and she gets asked a question, and she's supposed to seem like the, quiet, shy, lovely girl. That was supposed to be an homage to the original film with that kind of scene. So the producers were really hoping the audience were going to take to Sarah and want to see her continue through the series. Okay, we got to talk about Busta Rhymes, so let's just get right into it. The sixth crazy fact about Halloween Resurrection was that Busta Rhymes was given the go-ahead to rewrite his own dialogue. So that is going to be a big culprit for the people that really hate this movie, because Busta was being Busta in the movie, basically, and he was talking the way he thought his character should talk and act the way he thought his character should act. So I'm just gonna Walter Cronkite this here. I'm telling you what it is. Busta was able to rewrite his own dialogue for Halloween Resurrection. Alright guys, so the seventh crazy fact is this. The producers begged Jamie Lee to let her fate in the beginning of the movie be somewhat ambiguous, meaning they didn't want her death to seem so final in the beginning of that movie, because they really wanted to have the ending be Laurie Strode come back and help Sarah kill Michael Myers. But Jamie Lee Curtis vehemently refused until they backed off and said, okay, never mind. But they went hardcore into trying to convince her, can we please have you come back and kill Myers in the ending of this movie? But knowing Jamie did the right thing, because knowing how Mustafa was, he wasn't going to kill Michael anyway, so it would have been a lost cause. But they really tried to get Jamie Lee Curtis. I never heard that before, but they really tried to get her. Alright guys, so this was the most shocking one of all. The crazy fact, the eighth crazy fact about Halloween Resurrection. Test screenings were held in late 2001, and the biggest note that the audiences gave were that they wanted more Busta Rhymes. Yes, you heard me right. And for those that are kind of balking at that, you have to remember, this was the early 2000s. Busta Rhymes was a top player in the hip-hop genre at the time. He was a big deal. He was a big deal. So while we look at the movie through 20-year-old lenses and we see it through the vein of a Halloween film, these were people who were just watching a movie at a test screening that were probably engulfed in what was going on in pop culture at the time. And guess who was at the top of that? Busta Rhymes. He was a big deal. He was on SmackDown with The Rock one week, right around the time of this movie, I even think. So, people wanted Busta back then. And guess what? By God, the producer said, damn it, let's rewrite his character. Which leads us to our ninth fact about this movie. In the original cut of the film, Busta was supposed to die, and Sarah, our lead, was supposed to be the only person to take out Myers at the end. But because of those notes from the audience, test screenings, they changed things, shot more scenes with more Busta Rhymes, gave him more dialogue, and had him karate chop Michael Myers at the end. And Rosenthal was a big proponent of this, and he is very proud of this, and in his mind, the audience loves this. So, again, Walter Cronkite it here, just telling you what happened. Take that for what it's worth, and throw something at the wall if you need to. Okay, so the 10th crazy fact, we've got to talk about some deleted scenes. Now, I don't know that this scene was ever shown in the deleted scenes on DVDs or Blu-rays or whatnot. I don't ever remember this, but when I was reading the chapter on deleted stuff that was shot but not put into the movie, and maybe was never even put into a cut of the film, was one of the most hilarious deleted scenes was to show Michael Myers stealing a Firebird, driving it to his abandoned home, seeing him gaze at it, and then all of a sudden hearing the click-click of Michael Myers locking the car that he stole. Never put this in the movie, obviously. Now, I don't know if this footage has ever been seen, but when I was reading about the stuff that was shot for the film and the initial cuts and ideas that they had, that was the most hysterical thing I thought of, because I can picture Michael getting out of a stolen Firebird, walking in front of his house, and all of a sudden just hearing the click, click. I need this in Halloween Ends. Hopefully they give it to us. There it is, guys. 10 crazy facts about Halloween Resurrection. You know, it was actually kind of somber reading about this chapter, because the film really turned into what it did because of the test screenings. That's really what the author led me to believe, because the script was not as hokey pokey as it turned out, and not as slapstick almost over the top. There was supposed to be a lot of metaphorical things about the movie. The serial killer character that's kind of like the heavyset clown guy was supposed to be like this metaphor for the super fan of Halloween, which was something that had become predominant by this point, and there were super fans, and the author talked about how the things were supposed to be interpreted and seen to the audience through a certain lens, but over time dialogue and writing changed a little bit, and when Busta Rhymes getting test screening notes back that people needed more or wanted more of him, the scope of the movie really changed. So, you know, it was a little somber reading about that, because, you know, we all just thought that this movie was probably doomed from the start, but from the looks and sound of it, it really wasn't. You know, I am always a big proponent of seeing the next chapter and what's the Halloween world is. The idea of a Myers not chasing a Strode or a family member, kudos, that sounds great to me. Unfortunately, this is the only movie we've ever had, I think, that has that, where Michael's not chasing a family member. So maybe one day down the road we'll actually get that, but maybe some people don't want that too. That could be a fair statement. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't worry, we're not done. We have Rob Zombie's Halloween and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I cannot wait to read about those and hopefully talk about some stuff that maybe hasn't been talked about too much that this book details. But thank you for watching this video. Please tell me your favorite crazy fact about Halloween Resurrection and your thoughts on it from this video. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, and music, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month.